Many years ago, I came across a few lines in a book that I connected with. They were, "It's easy to judge, but you never know another person's heart, what gives them strength and what breaks them down." I have learned to listen more and speak less. The result has been eye-opening conversations and inspirational moments that I have shared with you right here. Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's time for us to sit down and have a great conversation on Crystal One-on-One. We are on location at Kampala Sheraton Hotel, and this show is brought to you by Roke Telcom. So make sure you get yourself a Roke Plus package for home. It makes life so much easier. Today I am speaking to a communication specialist. She's a public relations practitioner and so many other things that she's going to tell us about. The last time we met, we were actually both speaking at a function. Cynthia Mpanga, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank
It's
you
such
very
a
much
pleasure
for
to have
having
you.
me. I had forgotten that we last met while we were speaking at Sheraton, actually.
It was an event, yeah.
Yeah,
We're talking about personal branding.
And all that. Oh, yes.
Can you imagine? So it's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while. 2 years now?
So how are you coping? How are you handling the new normal? No. Before I even go there, first tell me how you are running 200 kilometers. This is just her. This is Cynthia.
Yes.
First tell me, explain to me, because
Okay.
I'm like, how is one person? I mean, you are fit, no doubt, but okay.
Okay, so what's happening is we have a challenge. It's called the home run. So basically because of the new normal and the entire having to social distance and all that, so you run from your home, like you hear the word home run.
Okay.
So we are
So
like,
are you different members at?
yes, it's actually a Standard Chartered Bank campaign to fundraise money for young people who are disadvantaged and visually impaired people during this period. So what is happening is globally, everyone is called upon to run and just fundraise.
Okay.
So in Uganda, we are 8 people who are running in a group, but others run as they want, like 10 kilometers, 5, whatever you can run. But for us, we committed to run not less than 200 kilometers. What is quite interesting is, prior to my starting to run, and I started running in June during COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, so working from home and all that, being, isolated, I thought to myself, I need to take care of my mental well-being. So I need to get out and exercise. I never joined, the fray of people walking in the evening. I didn't, but I started slowly running.
So this is a recent thing.
It's a recent thing for me. I never used to do running at all, and I had this self-limiting belief. I totally believed I cannot run. For some reason, when I was in high school, one time I ran and I fainted. So we had this marathon and I fainted afterwards. So I told myself running and I are not compatible. Plus I had this self-limiting belief that my legs are too heavy and big, so I cannot lift them sufficiently. So I've never ever run. So when I started out, it started like slowly. I would tell my children, escort me. Can we go for a walk? Then we'll walk, but then they were disinterested, On days when I wanted to walk or go out, they would say no. So I decided, okay, I'll go it alone. So I started slowly going out on my own. Then I would run. Then I challenged myself 10 kilometers. So before I knew it, I was running between 30 to 40 kilometers every week. And that's how I entered the challenge, and I told myself I can do this. I can run 200 kilometers. So yes, so far I have run 155 kilometers, and the challenge ends on 31st of October. So
We're close.
I'm excited.
We're
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. Because I thought maybe you were going to tell me,
Actually, even
I've been
ran last
running
night.
for years and this is
Nope.
no big deal.
It's a COVID brought on situation for me, and the necessity, because I always reflect on whether I'm a balancing person. So I think about my mental health, my spiritual, my physical, my, you know, because I want to focus on all aspects of my life being rounded. So I think about, and being in the house every day, and everybody was always complaining how they are putting on weight, how they are eating a lot, you know, the stories that were coming through. I told myself, I think I need to get out, just so I interact with nature. I am able to reflect. I mean, it's such an amazing experience doing that. And recently, 2 weeks ago, I actually fell sick.
Okay.
I just happened to sit in a place which had very high AC, and that affects me. So afterwards, I started sniffing and sneezing. I even thought I had gotten COVID.
Oh dear.
It was that bad. So I was really weak. I was on medication, but dizzy and all that, but I still would go out for my walks. But what I did differently, because I couldn't run, I would find myself walking zigzag, or, you know, going off like I'm not balancing. So what I did is I started listening to audiobooks like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And instead of running for like 1 hour, 20 minutes, I was now walking for like 2 hours and some minutes, listening to an audiobook. So it was still amazing doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. How do we support? How do we support?
Oh, well, I have a Just Giving fundraising page, and actually on my Twitter, because everywhere I use the same, on social media, I use my name, Cynthia Mpanga. So anybody who wants to donate, they just go to my Just Giving page, and then they will click. It's on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and then just click and then support me and support the
Okay.
run. I have a target to raise just $1,000.
Okay.
I've hit that target like by 48%, so I need a lot more.
Have you heard? So we need to support. I will support, definitely.
Thank you very much.
I think that's so cool. That is so
Thank
cool.
you.
Especially the fact that you realized you were limiting yourself. You had said, no, I can't do this.
I know, I just challenged myself. I'm not special, I don't know anything. Every time I see Chip Tegay running, and let me tell you, that guy has inspired me so much. Because every time I would do my run the day after he's won, I tell myself, how did that guy run at that pace consistently and not give up?
Thank you. When you actually look at how fast he was running, it's like insane.
The resilience, the mentors, you know, the attitude, you know, to excel against all odds. I mean, we saw that guy. You remember how he at Kololo airstrip, that incident that he had where he failed to run?
Yes.
So many people would be like, you know, held back. They'll say, how do I go on from here? You know, laughing stock, everybody made fun of him. The entire nation watched that. You know what I mean? But that guy comes back and reclaims glory after glory. I am so challenged by Chip Tegay.
I love what he said, that, you know, you don't even deserve me.
I'm telling you.
You know, you might just be right.
I took that criticism or feedback very positively, because the reality is, if you only associate and support people when they're successful, then you actually don't deserve them, because you're sort of like associating and using them and taking advantage of them. But if there were nobody, would you stand by them?
It's absolutely right.
So
and also,
me,
people just are drawn to negativity. I think as individuals, you have to unlearn that. You have to break that cycle, because people are drawn to negative.
I don't know why.
Always when someone is down, that's when they're like, aha.
The other day I was watching a documentary that talked about the brain and how it functions, but sorry, I don't want to get into that.
I'm interested.
I mean, they were talking about being below the line or being above the line in terms of your mental aptitude. So being below the line is normal, actually, for people to just indulge in all these destructive things. They just gossip a lot. They just be lazy. They just they're attracted and drawn to that aspect of just self-protection and being comfortable and just doing the easy things and the, you know, things that are not really that productive. So they don't really grow as fast as they should.
Push themselves.
So the ones above the lines are the ones that sort of challenge their challenge everything, you know what I mean? They are self-learning, they they question things. So you go with that
It's too
flow.
much.
Yes, you need to challenge yourself and move out of that space and be able to go above the line. I thought it was quite interesting.
It is interesting. So we were talking just before the interview began, and you were saying that you've been into your office just about 4 times since we went into like a lockdown.
Correct.
And I'm just like, what do you mean? As you know, someone who's in communications, it's like, really, that's possible? Because more and more people, more and more companies are looking at having people working from home or just flexible spaces, maybe 2 times a week, 3 times a week. How has that been for you?
So, COVID, new normal, changes in the way we work has had some pros and some cons, you know.
Okay.
But on the whole, I'll say it's been a new normal that has opened new horizons, new challenges, new way of thinking, new way of doing things that for me, I frankly appreciate, because anyways, I'm a person who sees the glass as half full, not half empty. So I see the positives in situations. I recognize that there are many challenges, you know, people being out of work, so many companies are restructuring and laying off people. So, and these people are our relatives, they are our friends, we know them. So of course they default to knocking on your door for support and all these kind of things. So there is that negative, but I won't dwell on that. I recognize there are many, many challenges that have come. But for me, on the flip side is that working from home has given me an opportunity that has been unprecedented for me in my life. I last spent this much time with my children when I had delivered, you know, the 3-month maternity leave. That's it. I've never spent this much time closely to my children, listening to them, tending to them. I don't know, you know, getting to know them at a very deep level for these months. It's such an opportunity that cannot compare to anything else, you know. Bonding and, you know, what I did when I let go of my maid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have a timetable, we do our housework, we wake up, everybody has a shower. You know that I am mopping the house and sweeping the compound. I am the one peeling the food today, and everybody has a responsibility. I would never have been able to impart that knowledge and skill in my children if I was at work, you know, working 8 hours from, you know, even if you get to work at 8, it says 8 to 5, you don't actually get to work at 8 and you never leave at 5.
Exactly.
And I'm a sort of a workaholic, so for the longest I always work very, very long hours. I mean, I have all sorts of stories. I've ever worked so late, the doors lock me inside the bank. I mean, I've been through so much.
Oh my gosh.
So this opportunity to just be there and help impart the skills, the knowledge, the values that I want in my children, for me has been the biggest blessing, and I really thank my employer. I mean, it's a situation that came, but what happened is Standard Chartered Bank immediately, you know, the minute the pandemic was declared and so on, they said, you know, you work from home, it's only the frontline staff. You know, we were prepared because we are really a digital institution. We are a digital bank, really, and we've been digitizing for the past 5 years. So for us, we were really sort of prepared.
You were prepared for this.
At least 85% prepared for a calamity like this, in terms of everything being like in order. We had our laptops, I had my Wi-Fi, I had everything that enables me to work from home, and we have the systems that enable us to take calls. You can call me on my work line, I mean landline, at home, and I will answer it, and you'll never know that I'm in office or I'm not in office or where I am working from. So you are equipped and empowered. And then also, you know, the line managers, and a lot of training because, you know, the new normal requires us shifting the way we've been thinking and the way we are doing things. So that's come with a lot of training continuously, webinars, conference calls and e-learning portals. So really the support in terms of making that move to be able to understand where you are in this present time and what is required of you, and that it is not business as usual. You need to go above
And
the normal
beyond.
and push yourself has really helped. So I'm working from home, but having said that, of course, being a bank, we are customer facing, so you have the frontline staff, and God bless their souls, because during COVID, the bank had to organize buses and get stickers and all sorts of things to make sure people access premises.
Yes.
But the rest of us, you work from home.
Wow.
But now people, some departments that really need to meet customers often, they do rotational, you know, going into office. Some go, some don't. But in our case, and really the bank champions that if it's not very necessary, you can organize virtual calls. Why do you
Yes.
need to sit in front of a person when you could expose them, or they could expose you when you could have done a virtual call? So I'm able to do my work efficiently working away from office.
As someone in communications, I don't know if you've also felt this. This has pushed people to be much better with their communication. I feel that, you know, in the past people just knew, you know, I'll just walk down and peep into someone's office and say, oh, have you got this? But now people are being pushed to be a lot better when it comes to communication.
I mean, we are in the information era, and we are going into the fourth revolution. We already there, the technological revolution,
we
and
are.
so on. There is no way around it. We are all, suddenly all of us are pushed. We are online. And what are you doing? You're communicating your thoughts, your feelings, your perspectives, your likes, your dislikes, you rant to people you don't know. You go on Twitter, you don't know, you have 5,000 followers. You don't even know who they are, because in real life you have like just about 5 friends that you can really rely on. So who are you sharing your feelings with? Who are you? All of us suddenly. And by the way, it's not even, I know people who are a bit conservative, who want to take it easy and hide away and continue living in their bubble and not be known or not be heard and not to be experienced. But the truth is, sooner or later, they will be forced to come out. You just cannot stay behind in this revolution, because the reality is, if now it's the Zoom calls, you know, it's Zoom calls, Zoom calls, Zoom calls. Before, you used to have events at Sheraton, where we are right now, and everybody has to meet, right? Now,
have
conferences are
breakfast, you'd
happening
have-
on NBS TV, e-conference, everything is you have to communicate using the channels. So people who never wanted to be, oh, I don't want to be on Facebook, oh, I don't want to be on Twitter, I'm not anywhere, and you have no virtual presence, that's something that's going to be eroded. And by virtue of that, we all have to communicate more effectively. You have to think about what you're saying, because even when you don't think about it and you post, you will get feedback. People will call you, people will say, oh, I saw these, I don't know what you meant. And those comments will get you to reflect on how you communicate with others and how you articulate your thoughts and issues. And before you know it, you have to be a better communicator. And it's imperative that everybody is a better communicator. And there are all these, you know, spaces where you can improve your communication skills. Today, the Google, Mr. Google, can give you any sort of information you need about anything.
Well, some you don't even need to know, but yeah, you have to
free
sift
online
through what is.
sources. I know the problem. Actually, someone said that the problem we experience today is actually that the information age has brought a new normal in the aspect of, if someone doesn't want you to know something, they bombard you with information. So in the past age, there was no access to information.
Yes, yes.
Now, you cannot cope with the level of information you are accessing.
That's the distraction you were talking about.
Absolute distraction, and you have to be focused and get out of your, reprioritize and get out of the way you used to do things. Because if I wake up and I have over 1,000 emails, to sift through on a day, and I have to go to Facebook, to Twitter, to LinkedIn, because even there I have communications and Instagram and so on. And then I have to Google things and read a few news, listen to news. And how do you cope with all that? Where do you even find the time?
And it's all just coming at you constantly.
How do you find the time? You have to be more strategic in terms of who you communicate with, how you communicate, and you can't deal. You can't reply everybody. You cannot speak to everybody. So you have to prioritize. And I think one of the things that helped me recently, because and we take it for granted. You just assume you missed my call. You didn't call me back. I sent you an SMS message. You didn't revert. I sent you a WhatsApp. Do you know in my inbox I have like 4,000 unread WhatsApp messages?
Okay.
Yeah, because I am on several groups.
The
you know what I
groups
mean?
are always, it's always the groups. It's always the groups.
So you're on all these groups. So by the time you see through, okay, scroll, no group. And then someone says, okay, I made a donation towards your run on the Obis group. But on the Obis group, there were 6,000 messages.
How do I even find it?
And then I have to work, and then I have to be a mom and live life and do all these things. You cannot cope. So I have, my best friend is called Bonnie. So he always calls me and says, did you see a missed call or a missed message? But you're a communicator, why didn't you So he uses that card against me. I say, yes, I'm a communicator. But when I didn't call back, you could have actually called back after some time, because probably
got a lot on your plate.
or something is happening. And we are always having this argument. And I'm like, no. I think you're bullying me, because the reality is I didn't see your message.
No, it's right. You're right. Because sometimes you are having a day when it's just crazy. And because, like back in the day, it was not that you weren't as available because of these platforms, WhatsApp and everything. The assumption is you're always available and you're right there, which is not always the case. Like I remember someone said, I was having lunch. Because I think they were complaining, like, people are attacking me. I didn't respond immediately. Like, I was having lunch. And I'm having lunch. It's my time.
But those walls are invisible now. People don't expect you to have lunch. These days you have meetings the entire day, including lunchtime and breakfast time and after 5.
That's one of the negative things.
Exactly. And they expect that you'll be available, and nobody even checks with your calendar anymore, because they have this call, they put it up. It's in your calendar. So you're juggling between actually having to be productive and deliver on your objectives, and also handle and go through all these meetings and requests and abrupt phone calls, because everybody's looking for somebody wherever they are. So
that takes you back to what you said before about trying to make sure that you're balanced. You have to make that effort. Now, in terms of siblings, how many are you? Because I know you're the oldest, right?
Yeah, so in my mom and dad, my dad, we were like 21.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now, of course, some are passed, so we are few. But in my mom, we were born 3, but my mom was the married one, and I'm the firstborn. And then I have 2 brothers, Glover Rodney, he works at Petroleum Authority of Uganda, and then my brother Jenkins, who comes after me, who works at STV.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 brothers?
Yes, 2
Okay,
brothers.
all right. And did they all go to boarding school as well? Because we were talking about how you hit the ground running with boarding school.
I can't believe it. I don't know what happened with our parents of the other generation, but those guys shipped me off to boarding school at 6 years. I don't know where they found it in their hearts, or how could anyone do it. Okay, I know that it happens even today. But yes, we were all in boarding school.
All of you were in boarding school. Man, now that you have your children, you have not done the same.
No, I haven't.
I'm yet to meet someone who said, yes, I went to boarding school in P1 and I would let that happen to my kids.
They are there actually. You know, there are parents who are no nonsense. They're like, you know, these cuddling kids and, you know, protecting them just doesn't work. I went through it, you go through it.
So you went to boarding school really early, and that was throughout your primary, your secondary? Okay. Did you get to spend time, at least, like in the holidays, with your parents?
Yes, of course. I always went home to my parents, yes, during leave. But boarding school life, if I may speak to that, was quite tough, you know. But I mean, with 6-year-old you take to a boarding school and there's one visitation in a month, and then they keep their grab at the matrons, and after 2 weeks the matron says your grab is finished, you know. You can imagine.
Oh no.
And you're like, and you can't question, they are very authoritative. So the rest of the time, what do? You know, it was such a hassle, but it shaped me. That hassle made me the person that I am today. And therefore, when I'm talking about boarding school, I say, I mean, I can make fun of how hard it is, but I know that everything that I am is grounded in that experience. Because I remember one time I was so hungry, so hungry, I couldn't even stand straight, you know, because I felt like my tummy is just falling in. And then I went to one of my cousins who was like a prefect and in P7, and me, I mean, like, I think at that point I was like P3. And I said, I am so hungry, I am starving. I've not eaten anything. You know, when I say it in English, it won't sound exactly the same way when I say it in vernacular. So allow me to say it in vernacular. So I was like, Alen Angel, Alen Newman. Then you said, now Jirume. So in English, if I translated that and you're saying, I'm so hungry, and you say, I'm starving, and you say, how do you even say that statement in English? Also, you starving. Starving, it doesn't make sense, right? But can you imagine the gravity of that statement? So we resorted to real survival skills. We'd go in the teachers' gardens and you dig up cassava with your hands, and then you just get the cassava and you start peeling it with your teeth and eat. You know, by somewhere mid-term, you've lost your scratcher, you don't have a comb, and your hair is growing up, and you can't go to class looking so messy. So what do? You would eat jackfruit, and then you would put out in the sun to dry that jackfruit carcass, you know, that thing. And then when it dries, it makes a very good scratcher, eh? Very good. I remember when I pierced my ears, some student did it. I don't even remember who did it, but they used thorns. You know those big thorns? Now these days, a child is born, that you take them to with earpins, they walk out. I had to nurse my pierced ears for like 2 weeks with salt, hiding from the matron. Man, life was in the jungle, like survival for the fittest. I don't think there's anything that I didn't do in my boarding school to survive.
Wow.
I did everything to survive.
So where did you go, primary and secondary? Where was that?
So in primary I went to Subi Girls, though I sat my P7 at Nalinyarantale.
Okay.
Then I went to Ndeje from S1 to S6.
Oh, okay.
Ndeje Senior Secondary School, amazing school, the best school in this country, by the way.
Oh, wow. So you finished there?
Yes, I finished my
And then what
S6
happened?
there. I call Ndeje one of the best schools in terms of, a school can be a school, but in terms of education and so on, of course it's progress over the years. But let me tell you something. When our parents died, my younger brother, Rodney, Rodney and I went to Ndeje Senior Secondary School. So he had been head boy, and he's very humble and very quiet and very grounded and very disciplined. So he had been head boy, and then our parents died, and they died 8 months between each other. So it was just too abrupt and too random. And of course we didn't have school fees, we didn't have anything and so on. And Ndeje just decided to give Rodney a bursary and educate him for the rest of his time. He went on, studied very well, and got law at, Makerere University. Thank God that guy was bright. I don't know what I would have done, because where would I have gotten an institution? I mean, you ask me all these questions, where were other people to help? But there is nowhere my brother, I would have gotten the money to educate my brother, through Makerere University and then LDC for 4 years. Like, It wasn't just gonna happen. So, and he owes that a lot. In fact, the other day I was thinking, we've been back to Ndeje, all of us, like in our own times, but I was thinking we really just need to go back there and do something, really do something for the school, because yeah, we are largely who we are because they supported us. But yeah,